This last, I think it's about 18 months since we've been locked down, has been very strange. I'm a youth worker. Normally, I only do a little bit of work. But during this period of time, of course, there has been no youth work. We've been seen as being unnecessary, not important. It's good that the schools have gone back, but at the same time, it would have been good to have had some informal education going on as well. So this has left me sort of isolated more than I would normally be. I'm not exactly a very sociable person anyway, and so most of the time during the lockdown, I've been in the house. I decided quite early on that one of the things I wanted to do was to be useful. So what I ended up doing was taking my tablet, little computing device, down to our shed and reading stories for young people to be put onto YouTube. And I did this from May of last year till October on a thing that I called the Story Shed blog, and have a website, thestoryshedblog.com. And I really enjoyed doing it. I think I ended up doing 74 stories in total, some of which I wrote myself, some of which were standard fairy tales. So during the time that we have been locked down, I found it very, very frustrating that it wasn't possible to do as much as I'd hoped to do during that time. I did learn new skills with audio and with video, which is why I did the YouTube stuff, and I've also done some writing courses with people online, mainly with the people that would normally have gone to our community centre to do the writing classes. So it's been a kind of a odd limbo type state. I have no idea how other people have managed to um, get on and survive during this point in time. It just feels as if it's a kind of a dreamlike mishmash of non-events. Every single day seemed to combine with every other single day. It became just a kind of non-day, a non-entity of a day. And since I've managed to get the two injections, it's perhaps got a little bit better than it was before. People are starting to come out of the houses a bit more, and you see people a little bit more. I would still like to do more with the story shed and learn more stuff, and perhaps, hopefully, do something that's meaningful with some of that. The virus itself has shown how there are so many inequalities in our society. It's shown that the society itself has a foundation that is pretty much rotten. It's like rotten floorboards, and what we tend to do is put brand new carpet on rotten floorboards and then pretend that the floorboards aren't there at all until the point that the floorboards collapse and we have a problem, and then we have to look at taking the carpet up and doing something about the floorboards. But most of the time that doesn't happen, does it? So the inequalities that have come up during the lockdown have been to do with technology and food and some of the basic things that you would hope in the 21st century would be a given, that you would have these things for the citizens of your country, that there wouldn't be a debate or a dispute about what people should have to help them to live their lives. And sadly, that hasn't necessarily been the case. We were lucky to have some food at one point in time when things were really, really hard from a food charity called Empty Kitchens and Full Hearts. And they came around to us, and of a weekend, over 3 days, they gave us food. And we were able to survive because of that. We would have found great difficulties otherwise. I knew other people that had to isolate, that had received, I think, government packages. And they told me that most of the stuff, if you didn't like tomatoes, you were a wee bit screwed, if you'll excuse the language, because They had tinned tomatoes and tomato soup and spaghetti and tomato, so it didn't really have much of a range. But the things that have made me more concerned, the most uppermost thing in my mind is the mental health problems that people will now be dealing with and have been dealing during the lockdown. What will be done for those people who now have mental health problems that they probably never had before, that they're having to deal with now? Because the mental health system prior to the COVID-19 wasn't particularly robust anyway. We had a large amount of politicians who said that they were going to do things about it. Never really did. It was like a kind of nod to it, but never anything that was a serious policy. And all of the parties did it, and probably still do. But I'm not convinced that with the mental health problems that we will face in the future because of the lockdown, purely because of the lockdown, that we will have measures and resources in place for those things to be dealt with. And I hope that I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong, and that something will be done to help those people. The lockdown has taught me some things. In some ways, I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for now the Story Shed, and also for a podcast that I work with a lady in Birmingham, and we do a podcast about once or twice a month, and that's been a respite from all of the horribleness of the lockdown. So I'm going to just close there, and thank you very much for listening. Bye for now.